This is not revenge, this is alignment. Chosen One, you need to hear this loud and clear. What's happening right now is not random. It's not coincidence, it's divine precision. You are walking through a shift that's been building quietly in the background, and now it's unfolding in full view. The very people who tried to destroy you, who lied, sabotaged, betrayed, and attacked, are starting to feel something they never saw coming: accountability. They laughed when you were silent. They smirked when you didn't react. But your silence was never weakness. It was strategy. It was protection. And now, while they prepare for another round of deception, the universe is preparing the verdict. Not only will their plans fail, their masks will fall, their names will shake, and some of them literally are going to jail. This is the season where the real judge steps in. They thought they were getting away with it, that nobody saw, that the pain they caused would be buried. But heaven doesn't forget, and the universe never loses track. Every attack launched against you was recorded, and now it's being returned, not as vengeance, but as divine correction. You didn't have to clap back. You didn't need to fight dirty. You just had to survive. And you did. That alone was the loudest roar in the spirit realm. So don't scroll. Don't blink, because this isn't just another message. It's a prophetic alert. The shift is already in motion, and you're on the rise. You're not just covered, you're elevated, and the ones who tried to bury you, they're digging their own graves now. If you feel this shift in your spirit, mark this moment right now. Drop the number 99 in the comments, because this is the moment their downfall began and your rise became unstoppable. Like this video, subscribe, and stay locked in. It's time. Let's talk about what happens when you're chosen and they tried the wrong one. The boomerang effect of evil. There's a divine law written into the fabric of everything. What you send out returns, not in the exact moment, not always in the way people expect, but it returns with precision, with pressure, and with purpose. And Chosen One, you are now walking in the season where that return is about to make headlines. Spiritual ones, legal ones, emotional ones, because the evil they planted is growing back, and it's not blooming flowers, it's wrapping around their own necks. Let's be real. They mistook your silence for softness. They thought because you didn't lash out, you had no power. Because you didn't expose them, you had no story. But here's what they never understood. The silence of a chosen one isn't weakness. It's protection. It's strategy. It's the stillness before a divine reversal. They were bold when they thought no one was watching. Whispering lies behind closed doors, gaslighting, sabotaging, plotting, laughing when you fell, celebrating your losses like they were their wins. They didn't know that every evil act was being documented, not by you, but by heaven. And now, that record is being opened. The boomerang has been released, and it's headed straight back to the sender. See, people think that just because you didn't fight back, you lost. But not everything is handled with fists or fury. Some battles are won by standing still. Some victories are handed to those who refuse to get dirty. The universe, God, the divine, whatever name you use, doesn't need your rage, it needs your restraint. That's what activates judgment. That's what calls the boomerang back. And make no mistake, this isn't karma. This is higher than that. Karma is a whisper. Divine justice is a roar. It doesn't just bring consequences, it brings exposure. Stripping away every fake layer they built to hide their real intentions. When the boomerang hits, it reveals, it undoes, it humiliates. And right now, some of your enemies are feeling the tension in the air, and they don't even know why. But you do. The energy is shifting, and they're about to pay the price for everything they thought they got away with. They threw dirt on your name and didn't realize that dirt grows seeds. You didn't just survive, you evolved, you leveled up, you got quiet, you got still, and in that stillness you got aligned. Meanwhile, they kept moving in malice, feeding their ego, getting sloppy with their pride. The higher they raised their own pedestal, the longer the fall became, and now, that fall is in motion. Quietly, strategically, surgically. Divine justice isn't sentimental. It doesn't care about fake apologies, public tears, or crocodile confessions. It doesn't care about who they fooled or how well they played the role. It cares about intention. It deals with what was said in secret, what was plotted in the dark, what was laughed at when you cried, and when it strikes without warning. That's the part that scares them now. They feel something coming and they can't control it. They can't spin it. They can't pray it away because it was never theirs to begin with. It's yours, your vindication, your justice, your redemption, delivered not by your hands but by the very law of the universe. And let's be clear, God doesn't play favorites, but he does protect his vessels, especially the ones who didn't fold, especially the ones who stayed in alignment when chaos came knocking. That's you. You didn't retaliate, you didn't match their evil, you didn't chase rumors or clap back on social media, and that's why it's coming back so hard on them now. Because the universe rewards restraint with restoration. They thought they could break you. And maybe at times you did feel broken. But broken doesn't mean defeated. Broken means open. And that opening let in divine power, divine healing, divine clarity. You got stronger while they got louder. You got wiser while they got messier. And now the roles are reversed. They're slipping on the very floor they polished to watch you fall. It's a principle they forgot. Every seed reproduces after its own kind. So when they planted betrayal, they planted their own exposure. When they planted manipulation, they planted their own destruction. When they planted shame, they planted their own downfall. And now, the harvest is here. Don't even be surprised when you start hearing things, when you see the headlines, when the ones who once gloated about their success start going silent, when the ones who had all the connections suddenly get disconnected. That's not you winning a petty war. That's justice taking its rightful place. And remember this, you never needed revenge. Because you are the consequence. Your growth is the consequence. Your survival is the consequence. Your silence was the countdown, and now the alarm is ringing. The boomerang is real. The echo is here. And every crooked word, every calculated move, every staged betrayal, it's all returning, multiplied, amplified, precision targeted. So keep your peace, keep your posture, keep walking like the royal one you are. The storm they sent your way, it's headed back to their front door. And this time it's not a test, it's a sentence. They failed to take your life. But God can take theirs through correction, exposure, and undeniable consequences. The balance is being restored, the scales are tipping. And chosen one, you don't have to lift a finger, just watch. It's all coming full circle. Invisible doesn't mean defenseless. They looked at you and thought you had no power. They saw your quiet spirit, your calm presence, your ability to walk away. And they assumed it meant weakness, vulnerability, a lack of backup. But the biggest mistake your enemies ever made was thinking visibility equals strength. They never understood that the most powerful forces on this earth are invisible. You can't see an earthquake before it hits, but it changes everything when it does. You can't hear a tsunami forming, but when it arrives, nothing remains the same. You can't detect the tension in the air until lightning strikes. And then it's too late. That's the nature of the chosen. Quiet, still, unassuming on the outside. But inside, a spiritual voltage that makes hell tremble. A divine shield that man's manipulation can't penetrate. And that's what confused them. That's what enraged them, because when they used their usual tactics, gossip, lies, pressure, isolation, they expected you to fold, to respond, to crash. But you didn't, and that's where their panic began. See, they've always relied on control, puppeteering outcomes behind closed doors, crafting narratives, whispering in circles to poison opinions and tilt the odds in their favor. But none of it worked on you. Why? Because you're not even playing their game. You're operating under an entirely different set of laws, kingdom principles, cosmic order, spiritual truth. While they were stacking the deck, thinking they were 3 moves ahead, you had already left the table. And now, the strings they pulled are tightening around their own throats. That's what happens when you try to take down someone who's protected by purpose. The system they built to trap you is caving in on them. They don't know how to handle the one they can't break. They assumed you'd need to scream to be heard. They thought you'd throw punches to prove you're not soft. But what they didn't realize is this: the chosen don't shout. They shift. They rise. Silently. Strategically. And by the time the room realizes you've outgrown the attack, it's too late. Chosen one, you have something rare. You carry presence, not noise. You carry power that doesn't beg for attention. The world has trained people to chase applause, to seek validation, to scream for justice, but you were sculpted differently. You were designed to move with precision, not panic. You're not a reactor, you're a revealer, and your silence has revealed far more than any outburst ever could. Think about it. Every time you didn't clap back, they got louder, bolder, nastier. They mistook your stillness for fear. They thought, oh, we've got them now. But all they did was dig their own pit deeper. Every lie they told is now paperwork in the courtroom of the divine. Every trap they laid is now the evidence. They can't spin it anymore. The energy they sent out has curved midair, and it's coming back fast, hard and undeniable. And here's the part that messes with their heads. They can't stop it. They don't know how to stop it, because it's not coming from you, it's coming for you. They thought you were defenseless because you didn't scream for help. But what they didn't see, what they couldn't see, was the force field forming around your name. That divine covering. That invisible hand that said, not this one, not today. Every time they thought their plan would land, it crumbled. Every time they celebrated your downfall, something blocked the impact. It confused them. It irritated them. And now, it's condemning them. Because divine protection doesn't always look like escape. Sometimes it looks like endurance. You didn't get pulled out of the storm. You got anchored in it. You didn't get fast-forwarded past the betrayal. You outlasted it. And now, because you stayed aligned, the universe is moving on your behalf. Let them talk. Let them scheme. Let them think they still have a chance. Because while they're swinging in the dark, trying to hit a target they no longer understand, you're being elevated in plain sight, silently, elegantly, protected by something no human hand can touch. And that's why they're spiraling. The world they built was an illusion. Fake alliances, hollow achievements, manipulated victories, but illusions don't stand when truth walks in the room. And you are truth. Your life is the evidence. Your survival is the proof. The fact that you're still here, still rising, still becoming. While they scramble to hold on to the fantasy, that says everything. You are chosen. You don't need to explain it. You embody it. You don't need to prove anything. You just need to keep showing up, keep walking, keep existing. And your existence will shake everything they tried to build. You see, when you're chosen, you don't need revenge. You are the consequence. Your resilience is the verdict. Your peace is the punishment. Your calmness is the storm. And while they're waiting for you to clap back, for you to lash out, they're missing the point entirely. The spotlight they prepared for your downfall, it just turned on them. The walls they built to trap you, now they're closing in on them. So stop worrying about what they're saying. Stop fearing what they're planning. Their season is over. The shift has already begun. And it's not just spiritual. It's real. It's visible. And it's coming with legal consequences for some of them. Yes, jail is on the horizon, public exposure, public reversal, and they'll have no one to blame but themselves. Because you didn't fight dirty. You didn't stoop low. You didn't retaliate. You simply stood still while God took notes. And now, the divine response is being delivered. They tried to take your life, but now, they're losing theirs piece by piece. And you're walking free, untouched, undeniable. This isn't just a comeback, it's justice. And it was always yours. The ego trap, how their pride became their prison. Pride is a dangerous thing. It blinds the eyes. It deafens the ears. It makes people feel untouchable, invincible, above consequence. And for the enemies of the chosen one, pride wasn't just their flaw. It was their downfall. Their ego convinced them they were in control, that they had the upper hand, that they could orchestrate your collapse and walk away untouched. But what they didn't realize was that ego is a setup. Every time they acted out of arrogance, they stepped further into the trap, the very one they built. They walked around with puffed chests, barking orders, flexing power they didn't truly have. They were loud, boastful, performative, because they believed control made them superior. And you didn't play that game. You were quiet, observant, calm, and that bothered them. It exposed their need to dominate. It made them uncomfortable. Because when a person thrives off ego, silence is a threat. You didn't flinch. You didn't engage in their theatrics. You didn't stoop down to their level. And it irritated their spirit. They wanted a reaction from you. They needed it to validate their illusion of control, but instead you held your peace and they mistook it for submission. Let's get this straight. Stillness is not surrender. Silence is not fear. Quietness is not weakness. It's strategy. It's awareness. It's alignment. And that's why you're still standing while they're starting to fall apart. You see, ego always overplays its hand. It gets louder when it should be listening. It moves when it should be waiting. It attacks when it should retreat. And your enemies? They moved on impulse, on pride, on a desperate need to be seen as powerful. But now, all that arrogance is writing checks their souls can't cash. They thought they were building a legacy of dominance. But what they were really doing was setting the stage for public exposure, for collapse, for a fall so hard even their supporters won't be able to deny it. They wore pride like armor, thinking it would protect them. But ego is not armor. It's a magnet. It attracts exposure. It attracts correction. It attracts the collapse they never saw coming. That's what's happening now. The higher their ego lifted them, the harder their fall is becoming. And chosen one, don't be surprised when you start hearing it. The cracks in their reputation, the tremors in their stability, the unraveling of their carefully crafted image. You don't have to gloat. You don't have to say a word. Your existence is exposing them. Your peace is poking holes in their performance. Your presence is shaking their illusion. Because when you walk in alignment, you don't have to clap back. You just rise. They underestimated the silent one, the one who didn't need a crowd, the one who didn't need to be loud, the one who didn't care to be right in the eyes of the world because truth stands without defense. While they spent their time gathering yes men, building fake alliances, buying influence, you were sharpening your discernment. You were healing. You were listening. You were becoming untouchable. They thought ego made them powerful, but you proved that alignment makes you unstoppable. And now their own pride is turning on them. The very confidence that made them feel untouchable is the same confidence leading them right into the courtroom. The consequence, the collapse. They can't blame you. They can't point fingers. This isn't revenge, it's reality. Because divine law doesn't bow to ego, it breaks it. And when the spotlight of truth hits, it doesn't just expose lies, it melts the mask. There's no more hiding behind titles, status, or public opinion. When divine justice arrives, all illusions dissolve. That's what's happening right now. Their world is shaking, quietly at first, but it will get louder. The panic behind the scenes will grow, and eventually the public fall will follow. And you don't need to lift a finger. Don't argue. Don't defend. Don't try to correct the narrative, because the same people who once believed them will be the same ones who witnessed their collapse. You just keep moving, quietly, boldly, authentically. You're not walking in ego, you're walking in truth. And that alone separates you. You don't need attention. You don't need applause. You don't need anyone to understand your silence. Because the truth doesn't need a microphone. It just needs time. And time is always on the side of the chosen. So let them bark. Let them flash their temporary wins. Let them perform for their illusion of power. Because while they're doing all of that, they're sinking. Slowly, publicly, inevitably. That's the law of the spirit. What's built on ego will always crumble. But what's built on alignment, it lasts, it grows, it flourishes. And you're not just rising, you're becoming the blueprint. They tried to make you the villain in their story, but the truth is, they wrote their own ending. And the conclusion is clear. Pride goes before the fall, every time. Let their ego bury them, because your silence already won. Jail isn't just bars, it's exposure. There's a strange thing happening right now, chosen one, and you can feel it in your spirit. The shift, the exposure, the sudden reversal of power. But this isn't just about people getting caught in their lies or watching their lives fall apart behind the scenes. No, this is deeper, louder, public. Because for some of your enemies, the justice coming isn't symbolic, it's literal. Yes, jail, the very ones who tried to imprison you with lies, the ones who tried to destroy your reputation, your peace, your calling, the ones who manipulated systems, twisted truth, and schemed in silence, are now staring down the one thing they never prepared for: consequences. They never saw this part coming. They thought they were too powerful, too connected, too well protected to ever fall. But spiritual law doesn't care about titles. Divine justice doesn't bow to status. And the universe, it doesn't forget. It collects, it stores, it waits. And when the time is right, it strikes. You didn't have to touch them, you didn't have to say a word, you just had to stay aligned. And now, the very trap they set for you has snapped shut on them. But let's be clear. Jail isn't just a cell. It's not just cold steel and concrete walls. Sometimes the real prison is spiritual. It's psychological. It's emotional. The mind becomes the cage. The lies they told become the bars. The masks they wore start to suffocate them. And while they may still look free to the outside world, they're already incarcerated on the inside. They smile in public but collapse in silence. They laugh at dinner tables but tremble behind closed doors. Because the truth they buried so long ago, it's starting to rise. And when it rises, it doesn't come quietly. It comes with paperwork, with subpoenas, with investigations, with headlines, with complete exposure. That's how the universe works. It doesn't just balance the scales, it flips the table, loudly, visibly, unapologetically. The very people who tried to bury your truth are now choking on theirs. They never thought it would go this far. They never thought their actions would reach this level. But you see, chosen one, when God protects you, He doesn't just shield you, He reveals them. Not just to you, to everyone. Because divine justice doesn't always arrive in whispers. Sometimes it walks in like a freight train. And when it hits everything. Their image, their relationships, their reputation, their freedom. This is what happens when people think they're above consequences. When they believe their manipulation is untouchable. When they forget that you can't plant evil and expect to harvest favor. They didn't just make bad choices, they built altars of deceit. They worshipped control, they bowed to pride. And in doing so, they wrote their own sentence. What you're seeing now, it's not revenge, it's correction. Their jail is not just punishment, it's presentation. It's the universe standing up and saying, this is what happens when you touch someone who was never yours to harm. You were sent here with purpose, with assignment, with destiny on your name, and they tried to erase that. They tried to steal what they didn't build. But what they didn't realize is that touching a chosen one doesn't delay the promise, it activates the judgment. Now their lives are unraveling. Their support systems are vanishing. Their alliances are betraying them, and the ones who once stood with them are walking away, quietly, awkwardly, unsure of what's coming next. Because even their closest friends can sense it. Something's coming. And it's not soft, it's not merciful, it's exact. Chosen one, you don't need to gloat. You don't need to watch every twist in their story unfold. Stay focused, stay elevated, because what's happening to them is not your job, it's heaven's. And heaven is doing its work with surgical precision. Yes, some will go to jail. Yes, some will lose careers, relationships, influence. Yes, some will fall publicly, painfully, in front of the same crowds they once used to mock you. That's not karma. That's confirmation. Confirmation that God never sleeps, that the universe never ignores injustice, that silence doesn't mean surrender. It means gathering evidence. You didn't need to fight back. Your existence became the courtroom. Your peace became the testimony. And now, life itself has become the verdict. And as for those who mocked your pain, who cheered when you suffered, who celebrated when they thought you were done, they're going to feel it, every bit of it, Because the universe doesn't just bring down enemies, it teaches them. It shows them the mirror they refuse to look into, and that reflection will haunt them far longer than any prison sentence ever could. So don't be surprised when the headlines drop. Don't be shocked when the whispers start turning into confessions. Don't panic when justice gets loud. This is not your breakdown. This is their judgment, and it's long overdue. The same courtroom they never imagined themselves in, it's already being prepared. The same spotlight they used to dim your light, it's now shining on every shadow they tried to hide in. They're not just losing status, they're losing the illusion that they ever had power over you. And you're rising, not out of bitterness, not out of revenge, but out of divine permission. Because God is not just clearing your path, He's making an example out of the ones who tried to destroy it. Let them fall. Let the system they trusted turn on them. Let their own hands become the evidence against them. Because the chosen don't seek revenge, we let life handle it. And life is a better judge than any courtroom. So walk tall, chosen one. This is your season of public restoration. While they descend into the prisons they built, spiritually, emotionally, and yes, sometimes physically, you ascend untouched. The assassination always fails. The setup that exposed them. There's a certain arrogance that always shows up in those who try to take down a chosen one. They plan with precision. They coordinate in secret. They move like they've already won. And as they plot in the shadows, they convince themselves they're unstoppable, that no one will find out, that their plan is airtight. But there's one thing they never count on. You were never alone. Chosen one. The assassination attempt on your spirit, your name, your future, it was doomed before it started. Why? Because you are covered, not covered in the way the world sees protection. Not with lawyers, not with armies, not with influence, but with something deeper. With purpose, with spiritual immunity, with a divine assignment stamped on your soul. And when someone tries to assassinate a divine assignment, the heavens respond. They didn't see you surviving. They didn't see you thriving. They never expected to watch you walk through what they designed to destroy you and come out stronger. They thought they calculated it perfectly. They gathered information. They exploited your weaknesses. They manipulated those closest to you. They launched the attack. And then, silence. Not from you, but from heaven. And in that silence, they got comfortable, cocky. They thought, we got away with it. They didn't know the silence was collecting evidence. They didn't know the delay was divine patience. They didn't know that every trap they laid was about to flip. Because when you are chosen, the setup always becomes the exposure. Every plan they made didn't just fail, it revealed them. While they were trying to assassinate your character, your peace, your destiny. They were signing their own sentence. They left fingerprints all over their schemes. They told one lie too many. They moved one step too boldly, and now, the exposure has begun. Let this be clear, you were never the target, you were the test, and they failed it. The test wasn't about whether or not you could fight back. It was about whether you would stay in alignment, and you did. You didn't chase their drama. You didn't meet their hate with hate. You didn't go low when they tried to drag you. You stood still and let the divine handle what your hands never needed to touch. And now, they're walking straight into the same trap they set for you. What they meant to be the end of you is about to be the end of their illusion. They thought your name would get buried under shame. Instead, their names are being uncovered under truth. They thought your spirit would be poisoned by their betrayal. Instead, their own hearts are decaying under guilt and exposure. Here's the part that haunts them the most. You didn't need to fight. You didn't need to defend yourself. You just survived. And that survival echoed louder than any accusation they launched. You want to know why the assassination always fails against the chosen? Because they forget one crucial thing. You are a divine assignment in motion, and divine assignments don't get canceled by gossip, betrayal, or even witchcraft. They rise through fire. They grow through pain. They accelerate through pressure. That's what happened to you. While they were celebrating your so-called downfall, heaven was building a platform under your feet. Every tear you cried watered the seeds of your comeback. Every betrayal you endured became a brick in your foundation. Every setback they designed became fuel for your next level. They never had the power to end you, but in trying, they ended themselves. And now they're scrambling. Some are trying to erase their footprints. Some are backpedaling. Some are suddenly quiet. Why? Because they feel it. The shift, the verdict, the collapse. And the craziest part? You still haven't clapped back, because you never had to. That's what burns them the most. That their obsession with destroying you made them visible to heaven in a way they never imagined. And now, the energy they sent is wrapping around them like a rope they didn't realize they tied. You didn't expose them, their actions did. You didn't chase their lies, truth exposed their character. You didn't retaliate. Life delivered the consequence. You see, the divine doesn't just protect, it repurposes. It flips plots into platforms, it turns pits into pulpits, what they meant for evil. It became your elevation. And now, they're not just being judged. They're being made an example, not just to you, but to everyone watching. Because this was never just about you. This was a warning to anyone who dares to touch the chosen without understanding what chosen really means. It doesn't mean you're better, it means you're protected, it means you're on assignment. And anyone who fights against that assignment is fighting against the very forces they can't see and can never win against. So, chosen one, keep your posture. Don't speak on their downfall. Don't waste time explaining your survival. Don't shrink to make others feel comfortable in your glow. Just walk. Let the headlines speak for themselves. Let the loss in their life reveal what really happened. Let the collapse speak louder than any apology ever could, because this is the part of the story where the lie dies and truth gets the microphone. You're still here. You're still rising, and every attempt they made only made you stronger. This isn't the end of your story, it's the exposure of theirs. And you're not just surviving, you're becoming proof that divine justice is real. And the assassination always fails. Collapse behind the curtains, the system is turning on them. It always starts quietly. The shift, the unraveling, the fall. At first, it's not loud, it's not dramatic, it's subtle. Barely noticeable to those on the outside. A canceled meeting here, a call that goes unanswered, a strange tension in their voice, a supporter who starts creating distance. The same people who once rallied behind them now avoid eye contact, and then the curtain begins to fall. Chosen one, what you're witnessing right now isn't just bad luck. It's not coincidence. It's the silent collapse of a system they thought would protect them forever. The one they built, the one they manipulated, the one they weaponized against you. And now it's turning on them. The lies that once shielded them, cracking. The alliances they depended on, fading. The reputation they spent years curating, unraveling in days. Because the thing about a lie is, it always requires maintenance. You have to keep feeding it, protecting it, rebuilding it every time it starts to fall apart. But eventually the weight of the deception becomes too much, and when it finally breaks, it doesn't just fall, it crashes. And they're crashing. See, what they didn't understand is that truth doesn't knock, it breaks in. When the divine gets involved, no mask can stay on, no fake loyalty can survive, no twisted story can hold up. It all begins to collapse from the inside out. And the reason they never saw this coming? Because they got too comfortable in the darkness. They were used to hiding behind titles, influence, fake smiles, and empty alliances. They believed their connections were stronger than consequences, that no matter what they did in the dark, the light would never find them. But light doesn't ask for permission. And when the time is right, it exposes everything. Chosen one, understand this. You were never the problem, they were the projection. They projected their guilt onto you, their shame, their envy, their fear of your power, and they built systems, circles, narratives, setups to try and contain you, control you, erase you. But they didn't realize that the system was never built to withstand divine justice, because when heaven decides it's time, it doesn't just remove people, it removes structures. It tears down everything that supported their deception. And right now, that's what you're watching unfold. The support beams are buckling. The fake friends are ghosting. The money is drying up. The attention is shifting, and the public is watching. This is more than a fall, it's a divine collapse. And it's strategic. You might be thinking, why now? Why not sooner? Why did God let them win for so long? Because judgment doesn't operate on emotion. It operates on timing. God let them build it. Let them stack the cards. Let them dig the pit deep. Because when it collapses, it teaches. This isn't just about revenge. It's about revelation. This is heaven's way of showing everyone exactly what was hiding beneath the surface. The ones who smiled in public but schemed in private. The ones who said they were your friends while actively plotting your destruction. And now those schemes, they're unraveling on their own. No warning, no fanfare, no second chance, just exposure. And here's what's wild. You didn't have to lift a finger. You didn't need to beg to be believed. You didn't need to prove your innocence. You didn't need to out their secrets. Because divine timing does what human strength never could. It's turning the tables, shaking the foundations, flipping the script, and for those who thought they'd never be held accountable, the accountability is here. Chosen one, some of your enemies are living in fear right now, and you haven't said a word, because they know it's crumbling. They feel it, and they can't stop it. Their name used to open doors, now it raises eyebrows. Their smile used to charm people, now it makes people uncomfortable. Their network used to feel powerful, now it's disbanding. That's what happens when exposure begins. The system starts malfunctioning, the favor dries up. The people who once backed them start disappearing. Not because they suddenly care about the truth, but because exposure makes everyone nervous. No one wants to be caught standing next to the collapse when the spotlight hits, so they retreat, quietly, one by one, until the betrayer is left standing alone, no allies, no excuses, no cover, and that's when the real collapse begins. Don't mistake their silence now for peace. It's panic. It's strategy failing, its reputation falling apart in slow motion. And what do? Nothing. Because when God begins to tear something down, the worst thing you can do is get in the way. Stay still, stay clean, stay out of the mud. Let the system crash. You don't need to defend yourself anymore. You don't need to explain anything. You don't even need to hope for justice. It's already been scheduled, and while they're busy running around trying to patch up the damage, you're walking free, elevated, unbothered. Because you passed the test, you stayed in alignment, you didn't retaliate, you didn't lose yourself. And that's why the collapse isn't touching you. What's happening now isn't your punishment, it's your protection. The entire system that tried to erase you is falling apart. And you're the living proof that it never had power to begin with. They gave it an image, a sound, a narrative. But at its core, it was always hollow. And now, heaven has pulled back the curtain. So let it fall. Let them run. Let the fake alliances die. This is what justice looks like when it's executed by the divine. Not loud, not messy, but final. You are not a survivor of their lies. You are a witness to their collapse, and you're just getting started. Rotting legacy versus rising purpose. The final separation. Legacy. That word used to belong to them. They were so sure they were building something permanent, something powerful. A name that would echo in rooms long after they left. They wore it like a badge. Talked about it in public speeches, crafted images online. They were obsessed with legacy, with how people saw them, with being known, praised, honored, but chosen one. What they built was never a legacy. It was an illusion. Because legacy isn't made of applause or status. It's made of integrity. It's made of truth. It's made of alignment with purpose. And what you're seeing now is the final separation between their rotting image and your rising reality. They invested everything into being seen. You invested everything into becoming real. They built a brand. You built a foundation. And now the storm has arrived, and only one is still standing. Let's be honest. For a long time, it looked like they were winning. It looked like their life was proof that manipulation worked, that ego got you places, that stepping on others was a strategy. They had attention, praise, access. They had people fooled. And you were quiet, misunderstood, sidelined, looked over. But that was temporary, because what they didn't know, what you didn't even fully know yet, was that you weren't being buried, you were being planted. And now it's harvest season, not just for you, but for them too. And here's the thing about seeds and rot. A seed grows quietly, slowly, but with power. Rot spreads fast, aggressively, but with decay. They built something fast, loud, but it couldn't last. Because it wasn't rooted in truth. It was rooted in insecurity, ego, and deception. And now the cracks are showing. The people they impressed are turning away. The lies they told are surfacing. The trophies they collected are rusting. Because a legacy built on manipulation always smells sweet at first, but the stench of rot can't stay hidden forever. The truth always rises just like oil to the surface. And now, their legacy isn't inspiring respect, it's inspiring questions. People are starting to whisper, was any of it real? How did I not see this before? If they could lie about this, what else did they hide? And those whispers? They're louder than any applause they ever chased. Meanwhile, you're rising. No fanfare, no flashy announcement, just truth. Your name is starting to be mentioned in rooms without manipulation. Your strength is being recognized not because you demanded it, but because you embodied it. You didn't push for fame. You prepared for impact. You didn't force your way in. You aligned yourself with timing. You didn't compete with them. You stayed in your lane, and now it's wide open. That's the difference between a rotting legacy and a rising purpose. Their success was loud but short-lived. Yours is quiet but eternal. Because purpose doesn't rot. It multiplies. It outlasts storms. It expands over time. And now, while they scramble to save their image, you're planting new seeds. In your peace, in your healing, in your silent growth. And here's the wild part. They can feel it. They may not admit it, but they see you now. They sense the shift. They feel the gap widening. They realize, maybe for the first time, you're the one who was truly called, not because you shouted, not because you had a platform, but because you couldn't be destroyed. Their whole strategy was to erase you. Instead, they revealed you. Their betrayal made people curious. Your silence made people watch. Their collapse is making people remember. Wait, wasn't it the chosen one they went after? And suddenly the tables turn. Your name, once whispered in gossip, is now spoken in respect. Your journey, once mocked, is now inspiring others. Your truth, once doubted, is now shining through every crack they tried to cover. You're not just rising, you're becoming the blueprint. And it's driving them mad because they built a legacy that requires constant performance. And now the stage is crumbling. You built a life that grows in silence, and now the world is noticing. They spent so much time trying to look like they were ahead. They never realized you were building something deeper. You were becoming rooted. And roots, they sustain what storms try to break. This is what God does for His chosen. He doesn't just protect your life, He prepares your legacy. And when He lifts you, it's not temporary. It's not political, it's not strategic. It's prophetic. Your life becomes a message. This is what happens when you try to destroy what God ordained. So let them keep reaching for the spotlight. You just keep becoming the light. Let them keep curating a reputation. You just keep living in truth. Let them keep chasing approval. You just keep walking in purpose. Because soon, if not already, their name will trigger discomfort. And yours, it will trigger hope. You are becoming what they pretended to be. You are building what they tried to copy. You are walking in what they tried to steal. But the difference is you didn't take any shortcuts. You paid in tears, in waiting, in faith, in fire. And now, your rise is not just about you. It's about everyone watching. Everyone who once believed the lie. Everyone who thought evil would win. Your rise is the evidence. That truth still wins. That silence still speaks. That God still elevates those who endure. So don't look back. Don't explain yourself. Don't even celebrate their fall. Just keep rising. Keep building, keep becoming, because their legacy is rotting, but yours is eternal. The rise was never revenge. It was a revelation. Chosen one. This was never about revenge. This was about revelation of who you really are and who they truly were behind the mask. Everything they did to break you, bury you, erase you, only confirmed the power of your calling. Their plans backfired. Their whispers became evidence. Their traps exposed them, and while they celebrated your pain thinking it was the end, God was just getting started. Let this truth settle into your spirit. You didn't survive because you fought harder. You survived because you were fortified. You were covered, chosen, called. And the very people who tried to assassinate your peace, they're now being judged, not by you, but by the very justice they didn't believe existed. The same ones who tried to write your ending are now watching you walk into a new beginning that no one can deny. You don't have to explain your story. Your presence says it all. You are proof that the divine does not forget, that silence is a weapon, that stillness is strength, that grace is not weakness, it's warfare in disguise. They expected you to beg, to fold, to vanish. But you endured, and now you are rising publicly while they are falling privately. You are being elevated while they are being exposed. And here's the final twist. You still don't need to clap back, because your rise is the clapback. Your survival is the sentence. Your elevation is the echo of every moment they thought you were finished. So walk forward with no guilt, no revenge in your heart, no bitterness on your back, because what's coming next for you is bigger than what was done to you. You're not just winning, you're walking in prophecy. The court of heaven already ruled in your favor. The evidence was spiritual, the verdict is final, and the sentence, it's unfolding. One exposure, one collapse, one divine reversal at a time. So now I ask you to do one thing. If this message hits your spirit, if you know you're one of the ones who made it through hell and back, if you feel justice is finally moving in your favor, drop "I'm still standing" in the comments. Subscribe if you haven't already, because this is just the beginning. Like this video to mark this moment in time. Your rise is not a coincidence, it's confirmation. Let the world watch. Let the truth speak. Let the chosen walk free.